Ukrainian government says its forces are gaining momentum and taking back territory amid fierce fighting along the south and eastern front lines. Kyiv claims its troops have recaptured a string of Russian-occupied villages along the Donetsk and Zaporizhzhya regional border. Meanwhile, during Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's surprise visit to the war-torn country this weekend, he announced another $500 million in support funding to help Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin tried to stir up some patriotic pride today during a state holiday.
Этот государственный праздник знаменует неразрывность многовековой.
Speaking at a lavish award ceremony in the Kremlin, Putin told his audience that it's a difficult time for Russia, a reason to unite even more strongly. But Putin made no direct comment on the latest developments in Ukraine, where Kyiv's forces have launched a long-awaited counteroffensive and have retaken several villages in the eastern Donetsk region over the past few days. Ukraine said today that its troops had recaptured a fourth village in a cluster of settlements in the southeast, a day after reporting the first small gains of a counteroffensive against Russian forces. Soldiers held up the Ukrainian flag in the Donetsk region in video footage posted online. Ukraine has enforced strict operational silence to avoid compromising an operation it hopes will retake swaths of land in the east and south and threaten the land bridge Russia uses to supply the occupied Crimea Peninsula.
Поздравляю всех!
Russia and Ukraine announced simultaneously on Sunday the return of nearly 100 soldiers from each side. 95 Ukrainian service members had been returned, including some wounded, and Russia said 94 Russian soldiers in Ukrainian captivity had been released after negotiations. Russia, which said last week that the counteroffensive had begun, has depicted it as a failure so far, posting images of destroyed American and German-made fighting vehicles and tanks.
Цікаво, що Путін сказав про наш контрнаступ.
It was at this news conference in Kyiv over the weekend that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky first hinted that the counteroffensive was underway. All happening while Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made a surprise visit to the Ukrainian capital. Canada announced another $500 million in support funding to help Ukraine's military fight Russia's invasion, pledging more weapons and fighter pilot training too. Trudeau also announced more sanctions on 24 individuals and 17 entities for their alleged responsibility in the theft of cultural artifacts and damaging heritage sites in Ukraine.
Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine with whatever it takes, as long as it takes. Since last year, we've committed over $8 billion in funding assistance to Ukraine, including over $1 billion in military aid.
Trudeau added that the feds are seizing a Russian-owned cargo aircraft that landed in Canada last year and started the process of forfeiting the aircraft to Ukraine.